Hey, it's Craig at Unleashed Education here. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of ways that you can add drama into skies using Lightroom. Thanks for joining me on this week's editing toolbox. I'm Craig Turner-Bullock from Unleashed Education. In these quick videos, Charlotte and I take turns each to share a tip, trick or technique that we think will help make your life a little bit easier when it comes to editing your pet photography. This week, I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of quick tricks that you can apply to sky in your images to give them a little bit more life or a little bit more drama or mood or whatever it is you might be going for. I'm going to be using the masking tools with some of the new point color techniques to do this in the first example. First of all, we've got this image of the gorgeous Frosty, who was one of our models at Style Lab in Iceland. And I really love this sky. I really want to make this more colourful and bring out a little bit more mood in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the masks here and I will go create new mask and I will select the sky. Now I can see from the overlay that Frosty has been selected a little bit here as well. So what I will do is I will just click on the mask and I will go subtract, select subject. And you can see now that that's popped off of there. If you're not sure, you can always change this, don't forget. So you have always got the option to display the image on white or the image on black, whichever might be easiest for you to see where the mask is applying. So we can see quite clearly now that the mask is not applying to those areas of Frosty that it was before. So let's go back to color overlay and I will show you this technique. If you've seen my point color editing toolbox video, which we can link below, I love point color. It's a total game changer for editing color, but I've also found it's quite useful for bringing a little bit of extra drama into the sky. And that will apply in terms of color on this image, but we'll look at another example in a second, which doesn't really rely on color. So what I want to do is just scroll down from this mask into point color here, click on the eyedropper, and I just want to pick one of the warmer kind of yellow colors here, I think. So let's go somewhere in here, maybe in that kind of middle yellow area. And now I have all this control over what I can do. I can play with the hue, saturation, the luminance, the range of how much this is affecting, and I have all of these controls. If you haven't watched that point color editing toolbox to see how all this works, I definitely recommend you do that. First of all, what I normally do is I take the range up to 100 here. Then I can look at what I want to change about these colors. Now I definitely want to bring some saturation in there, but I also think maybe I could lighten up the yellow a little bit more. Perhaps I'll look at where the luminance is selected, and actually I can already see that we've got the lighter area selected. I might change the feathering of that to allow just the effect to take place in those kind of mid-tones to highlights as well. I don't want to affect the darker areas. And the saturation, again, we're kind of in that kind of higher saturation area. I might bring that down a little bit and even expand the area that that's affecting into those kind of lighter areas too. And the hue will just leave where it is. I can change the hue. Maybe I want to just make it slightly more orange. Let's increase that saturation some more. And let's have a look at this luminance now as well. I think bringing it up a little bit is quite nice. So that's the first step and that first color. The second step is to add in any additional colors you want to play with. And so I want to bring in some of this darker color here. So let's select that area there. Again, we'll do the same thing. We'll increase that range. This time I want to affect the darker areas. So let's expand this to include the darker areas and the luminance. And let's bring that luminance of those down. Let's bring that saturation up a bit, and maybe we want to just take that up in the opposite direction just to give a bit more difference between here and here. And I think that works quite well. So let me just turn this preview on and off. So that's what we've got so far with that. And I think I'm pretty happy with where the colour is looking on that sky now. So what I would also then do is just give it a little bit of dehaze here, just to add a little bit of texture through there. And that's really it. You can then go backwards and forwards. You can add more points if you want. I mean, there's really only a couple of colour variations here, but I mean, if we wanted to then go and pick this orange and give that some saturation, we could. So we can play with that, add as many swatches as we want of different colours and play around with the sky however we want to there. So that's the first example I want to show you. The second example I've already done, and again it's another shot from the same location, just a different dog on a different day, and I've already edited this one. So if I switch off this mask, I can show you what I've done. Now I've actually done this with point colour, using lights and darks again, and a little bit of dehaze. But as well as point colour, we can use the luminance range selectors as well. So I'll show you how to do it with luminance now. So let me get rid of this mask and let's add a new select sky. Again, I think we've grabbed a little bit of the dog there, so let's subtract select subject. And I'm pretty happy there. Now I can go onto the little dots beside that sky mask and go intersect with and click on luminance range. And then I can just put the dropper. Now if I press O on the keyboard, that will turn that overlay off. And I want to grab a lighter area first, so let's go, maybe say there. Let's press O again. And that's now showing me where those brighter areas are that are going to be affected by any changes. I want to keep that to the very brightest areas, so I will change this range and reduce it. Then we can just increase that exposure and add some dehaze there. And then we can make a new mask, create new mask, select sky, subtract, select subject, and then we can intersect this again with a luminance range. Turn off that mask overlay with O, and we can pick kind of the darker colours here. Let's press O again, and that shows us what we've got selected there. Now I might be okay with just that area. I might increase that range. We'll see how we go when I play with this. So I want to do the opposite to make the changes more dramatic. So we lightened up those light parts, we'll darken down the dark parts. Yeah, I like how that's kind of making this cloud, this kind of middle tone cloud, stand out more. So I think we'll leave that there, but I will just give it some dehaze as well, just for extra drama. And then if you want to do the middle tones as well, you can do that separately too. So we can even go to do a third mask. So same thing, select the sky, subtract the subject, intersect with luminance range, press O to turn that overlay off, grab that mid-tone, press O to switch it back on and see where it's being affected, and then we can maybe darken it down just a little bit and give it some dehaze. So yeah, that's two ways that you can easily add drama to the sky. One final tip for you here is that if you are doing this, just be careful whether it's via saturation and point color or with the luminance range masks, that you don't start to get banding on the edges of your adjustments. If you go too far extreme, you will notice that the masking becomes very obvious around any edges, so just avoid that happening with that. But I think you'll agree that it's quite a successful and easy way to make your skies look even better in your portraits. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will speak to you in my next editing toolbox in a couple of weeks' time.